Hello everyone. Before we get started, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment saying where you're from and when you watched. That way, YouTube will continue to show you stories like this. Now, let's get started. Asterisk after the last night of hearing the voice of the woman who called herself Eleanor, I woke up in a state of unrest. The house was as quiet as ever, but something in my heart had broken. This silence was no longer peaceful, but a whisper waiting for an unknown ending. I turned on all the security cameras that had been silently installed around the house for weeks. The footage was still fully saved, but there was a new file recorded at 3 a.m. that caught my attention. The exact moment I heard footsteps and a voice calling my name last night. I opened the video from the camera placed in the corner of the living room. The screen showed a dark room with only a faint light from the window. But what made me freeze was that there was a person sitting in the middle of the sofa. It was no one else but me. I rewinded each frame slowly. That person had the same sitting posture, the same hair, the same clothes I had worn last night. Even his left hand had a red circular burn mark, exactly like mine. I still didn't understand what I was looking at that moment. Definitely sleeping. On the second floor, I never left the room that night. He quickly turned on the second floor camera at that time to compare, and the frame clearly showed me lying motionless in bed with breathing and heart rate from the sleep monitor still recording. Normally so, who is the person in the living room? I can't call it an illusion. I can't say it's a dream because all the images and data recorded by the machine match. I sat silently for a long time in front of the screen, and in the frame behind the sitting clone suddenly appeared a blurry black shadow with no eyes but a white light in the eye sockets. The black shadow stood right behind my clone. Its hand lightly touched my shoulder and then disappeared. I began to wonder if I was still myself or not since entering this house. I have been confused between reality and illusion, between dreams and waking. I didn't dare to touch my hands. I didn't dare to look in the mirror. I was afraid that the thing living in this body was not completely me. Decided not to leave the house that day. I turned off all the lights except for a night light in the living room, then sat in the middle of the floor and placed the slow motion camera pointing straight at me. Wanted to know if I sat here, would there be another copy of the image recorded for the first 2 hours? Nothing happened. I almost lost my patience and started to close my eyes. But just a few minutes later, I felt a cold air blowing on the back of my neck. I opened my eyes immediately, and in front of me was a mirror hanging on the wall, reflecting myself, but it wasn't exactly the same. The person in the mirror was still sitting there, but his eyes didn't blink and didn't follow me. He kept staring at me with empty eyes, a dull face and a smile gradually forming on his lips. I turned my head and there was no one. The mirror still reflected the room with only me sitting there. But when I raised my hand, the reflection didn't follow. I fell back in fear. My whole body cold, as if being sucked into a weightless space. I ran out of the living room and back to the bedroom, slammed the door and sat with my back against the wall until morning, when I went back to watch the recorded video. I saw the image of myself sitting in the middle of the living room. Very clear, but there was a moment of frame stuttering, and for about 2 seconds, there were 2 identical people sitting there. No longer knew which was me and which was the reflection, or which was the thing summoned from the old ritual. I knew it wasn't over. The house wouldn't let me go watch the next episode to see what happened. When I found Thomas's old tape recorder that was still working and making sound even though there was no battery inside.